say is I'm racist. Hey, Josh.
Hey there, how are you?
Rawr! You can't do this ever, okay? No, especially if you plan on running for politics again.
I'll leave that up to you.
Everybody, this is Joshua Barnett. He lives in Arizona. He ran for office. How did you put up with it? Oh my God, you in a blue state. You didn't go off? Did you snap at any given time?
It's been rough. It's been rough every so often, even with our alleged Republican state legislature. It's been even a little more rough with them because I expect certain things from Republicans that we don't always get. So it's definitely been I bite my tongue a little bit, but I usually don't, which is why um, I ruffle some feathers out here.
Do you think you're more powerful and God has you more connected to the grassroots, connected to moms, dads, business owners, entrepreneurs outside of politics? Do you think you can be a more of a voice of America, not sitting at their table? Because then you have to play by their rules.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not there. I don't play by their rules, and I never will because it's not about playing by their rules. It's about doing what the American people want, what Arizonans want, and unfortunately, that's not always the case. With a handful of them, it is, but with the majority, and then obviously with the Democrats, it's not going to happen. So
Wait a minute. Maricopa County. Oh, the Lord, y'all worse than Broward County of Florida and Fulton County of Georgia. What in the world is wrong with y'all, Governor? I mean, how is Kathy Hobbs doing?
you know what? Tom Homan said or threatened to arrest her today, which made me very happy. I hope he follows through with it because, and I've been saying this for a long time. Without arrest, it's all for naught. It does none of this matters. If people continue to get away with this stuff and just slapped on the hand, oh, you lost your job or you resigned, that's not enough. If you did something criminal, corrupt, or whatever, you need to be, fraudulent. You need to be thrown in jail.
If you
You know,
go against your oath of office and you being a
yeah,
governor, you should be at least protecting your own borders from illegals. Period. Not only
yeah.
the illegal, the voter integrity, the voting. We followed y'all closely. I followed y'all so close, and I was sitting here like, what can the Republican Party do? But then you listen to the phone call that Carrie Lake got. Y'all got the same issue in the side of the Republican Party of your state that we have in ours. You have the ones that's Republican in name only, but they don't uphold the platform of what the Republican is supposed to be. Why is that?
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up because I got a phone call from Carrie right after that happened, and she wouldn't tell me who it was at the time, but I was aware of what happened, and it's funny because we expect it. We expect it to happen, and Arizona is as corrupt as we can be. We're on the border. We Katie Hobbs is in that position because of the corrupt elections, and we don't fix them. There's only one logical reason at this point we don't fix elections and we get rid of the machines. We know everything about, the internet being attached, et cetera, et cetera. The only reason that I can think of is people are getting money under the table
Nope.
and people are taking advantage of it, right? They're making sure they get their seat at the table. There's no other logical reason to get rid of machines, precinct voting, precinct counting, show your ID before you vote. Um, no mail-in ballots because that's where a lot of the fraud happens. The
Mm-hmm.
dirty voter rolls. Absentee ballots, I believe, should be notarized. I think we should know exactly it's you, or as best we can. But at least, even with the traditional way, you have to have an ID to do it. But I'm even okay with those. But there's so many things that we can do to eliminate all potential, criminal activity or fraudulent activity.
But they don't
That
want that because if you have an honest election, they wouldn't be voted in. So
no,
they
no,
have to stick with their power.
right, right. They lose control. They cannot manipulate things anymore. They cannot ignore you anymore because they will be voted out. And it's very simple to do. We showed it at the MCRC meeting a year ago when they hand counted the paper ballots. They 2,500 of them. They did it like an hour. Every precinct out here, the average precinct, the turnout is around 2,500. So it can easily be counted
Wait a minute.
by,
Kathy Hobbs said it was impossible to get those numbers in one day.
yeah, she's a liar. Like, she's a liar. Fontes is a liar. And honestly, a lot of Republicans are liars because then they'll talk about what's funny. They bring up money like money is a problem, you know, like money's the issue when we all know damn well it's not.
Nope.
So you try to tell me Republican and Democrats would not volunteer to come vote or to come count the votes? We would have a surplus. We'd have to turn people away. We'd have so many people coming out. You said a Democrat, a Republican, a Green Party at a table. You count on this ballot races 1 through 3. You count 4 through 6. You count whatever, and you set these tables up to be counted. You check every 50 and make sure your numbers add up, and you count the 2,500, and you're done. You report your numbers to you know, whatever center you want to send it to.
So basically, you want them to do it the same way they do when they audit an election. You have a Democrat and a Republican looking at the same stack to make sure that each one ain't doing no funny business. So what's the problem with that? Why do we need to be connected with Dominion or any other vote and electronic machine? Why can't we go back to paper ballots?
We absolutely can. They choose not to because that's how they manipulate things. I mean, there's no other logical reason not to do it. And especially knowing what we know at this point, right? And they keep telling us, you know, much like COVID or anything else, that, oh, it's all conspiracy. They're not connected to the internet. We know for a fact through court records that they're connected to the internet.
And why? Capability. What about having all the votes done at least in 1 day and not 30 days?
Yeah. My way of doing things, we would have it done by midnight. No problem.
Okay, well, what you planning on doing? You really want to jump back in that mess?
No, but
that was quick.
But you know, I feel compelled to. You know, I have a friend. I won't state his name right now, but we talk quite a bit, and you know, he's involved, and he's a big election integrity guy as well. And we talked about just this morning. We were talking about what can we do to force this change, right? And to show them that this can work and how easy it is. And, you know, you can't tell me that, I mean, I know I could sit down and probably however many hours and count 2,500 ballots and just count them, check, count them, check. Is it a lot of work? Yes, it's a lot of work. But it's something I'd be willing to do for my country to make sure that we have the right people in office that should be there. And, you know, and I believe that, you know, the one big argument was we got to pay money for people to come in. It's like, no, we wouldn't. We wouldn't have to pay a dime. Every precinct would have enough Republicans and Democrats wanting to come vote or count the votes that we wouldn't have to spend a dime. And that argument is completely null and void to me, much like our past couple of elections are null and void as well.
How do you, even if you do find any of the investigation that's going on and have been going on in Arizona, if y'all find something, who is willing out there in Arizona to actually bring it to court, into a serious court at that?
That's the thing right now, right? The courts are corrupt. You know, in that plain as I've seen it personally. You know, in a court system. So, and Abe Hamadeh, Kerry, they all know it is. Anybody who's paying attention knows it is. But what I've called on for is President Trump to write an executive order to send a National Guard to snatch these machines up. Unannounced, snatch the machines up, have them forensically audited, unannounced, by experts, and show the world what these really are or are not. So we can end the charade of, are they corrupted, are they not? Let's end the charade. Let's grab them up. We're in control right now. Let's show them. Yes, they are connected to the internet. Yes, they are algorithms built into these things, like we've seen on videos from past hackings of University of Michigan had the big hacking things, you know, and it's just so many things that I believe we can do.
That's a good idea. And wouldn't it be Pam Bundy that would do that? But with all of the moles that are inside of not only CIA and the FBI at this point, how would they not get out that after election night that there's going to be a big raid on every machine out there?
I wouldn't wait. I'd do it right now. They're sitting in storage somewhere. I would snatch them up right now unannounced and have the forensically audited on the site, on the spot.
Ooh, you finna bring up a dust storm. I can hear some, especially in the state of Georgia. Brad Raffensperger, our Secretary of State, hooping and hollering. If you know, the federal government, it wouldn't even be Trump at that point. It would be the federal government stepping in and securing our election. Ooh, that's a great idea.
Federal government. It would be Trump's federal government stepping in. It would be Pam Bondi, right? Mm-hmm. Which she's got to prove a lot to me right now because I haven't seen a lot of stuff happening. But but I'm willing to give her a chance because I do trust Kash Patel. I do trust him and what he's going to do. I trust Dan Bongino. I trust a lot of the other people from Lee Zeldin, the EPA, that was just here recently. That's doing a lot of cutting a lot of waste and fraudulent spending out of there
Yes.
with the Green Deal nonsense. And I also trust some of my mind, CIA Director Ratcliffe. I trust. I think he's there for the right reasons, and I think that combination of especially Patel and Bondi and Bongino coming in here, securing these machines, having them forensically audited, and let's end this once and for all, one way or another.
Oh, listen, look at me. There's so much when it comes to the election integrity, Dominion vote machines, Smartmatics, the computer inside being hooked up to the internet, not hooked up to the internet. If they're going to take off the QR code, if they are not going to take off the QR code,
Right.
we've already paid all this money. I'm just going to talk about Georgia. All this money, like you said, is sitting in the storage. Now
Yeah.
they're wanting to take off the QR code, and they're saying it's going to take more money in being invested in Dominion vote machine in order to take off the QR codes. Well, if it's going to take $50 million, get us some new machines, especially if they're going to go offline next year. Why wait until they're obsolete to go get us something else?
Well, and also, I mean, think about this. We've asked to look at these machines, and they won't let us. Why do you think they won't let us? I mean, if you're innocent, right? You're like, here, check my phone out. It's right here. Yeah, you might be, against my privacy or whatever feelings you got, right, about your phone. But if you're really innocent, you can read my text messages right here. Go ahead and have a look. There's nothing there. I'm not hiding anything. And by the way, who buys those machines? We, the taxpayers, do. They
Yes.
don't own jack squat. So why are we not allowed to look at our own machines that we bought? So that's a whole other issue that needs to be
Yeah,
raised.
why
Is
can't
you
we?
don't own the machines, we own the machines.
Why, yeah, why can't we? Why can't your Secretary of State, our Secretary of State, allow people to go in there and audit the machines? If especially because there's so much doubt behind Dominion, no matter if it's from Venezuela who's involved or Brazil who's involved, especially with the 2020 election. And then President Trump kind of hinted at something yesterday, saying that he's going to drop it all when it comes to the 2020 election and let the world see what happened. And it's supposed
Yeah.
to be the biggest explosion or bomb that's going to drop in the political arena. Ooh. Is it
Yeah.
too late to null and void if they caught being fraudulent?
I don't believe so. I don't know, honestly, the legality from that standpoint. To be honest with you, it's the only thing I would want to see is arrest.
Whoop.
We can't change the past, right? We cannot change the past. But if the people that were responsible for this stuff that was happening and going on, they need to be thrown in prison for a long, long time, if not forever, for what they've done. Because what they've done is treasonous in my eyes. And this is the reason why I called on Trump to write an executive order to go get these. It's a national security issue.
Sure is.
So why not use that leverage? We're in control now. Let's act like it, right? And he is. Don't get me wrong. I love what's happening right now, and Trump is acting like we're in control now.
You
Now, our
you
congressional
understand what you're saying, right? If it's the 2020 elections when we really got Dominion. Who won that election? Joe Biden won that election. We also know in the last couple of weeks that he didn't sign diddly squat. I mean, he didn't sign anything except his resignation to step down. That's why I
right.
asked you if he blew that wide open, plus knowing that he used a auto pen for everything and don't remember anything that he signed, can it be null and void? Because that means there's corruption and a coup across the United States. So that is a constitutional crisis.
Oh, it absolutely is. And then you got to know who was the one making those decisions, right? I believe I know who it is.
Obama?
Yeah, I believe it's Obama. I believe it's Obama, and I believe it's not just him per se, but Hillary's involved.
Mm-hmm.
All the usual suspects that were running in the Biden administration, they were still running things. Obama was still living in D.C., in the like very close, like what 5 miles away or wherever he lived at. So all that stuff, culminates to a point of what are we going to do about it? Because Republicans are weak. They're super weak, and they're cowards, and a lot of them are blackmailed, and that's part of the problem as well.
So you know that too, because I feel like whatever happened to who's the guy that was in North Carolina that was the junior congressperson? He was in the wheelchair, and he God,
Madison,
Madison Carthorne. You remember when they tried to do a honeypot on him and he came out and told us they put a line of cocaine.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
said, they told him to do it. He said it was a top ranking Republican. So they try to get blackmail material on these people in order for them to total the party. Are you sure you want to get back in office or try to run
know what?
again?
I don't drink. I don't do drugs.
I ain't Donald Trump.
Yeah. I work out. I eat relatively healthy. They're not who I want there. They don't want people like me there because I won't put up with it. I not that I don't have a big mouth, but I do when it comes to dishonest people and corruption. There's nothing that pisses me off more than
Yeah.
someone right to my face, and I don't let it go. I'm petty. I'm a little bit petty like that. I will not let it go.
Well, we need our own squad members because who up there? Mitch McConnell. He can't stop. He can't stop falling. Here's this: if Mitch McConnell is worth $90 million, and you know he might got a good 5 years left, wouldn't you go home and count your cash? At least travel around the world, not always wanting to have power.
Yeah, you would think so. And it's the same reason why, and Republicans as well, but it just seems to be more Democrats. But quite a few Republicans are really filthy rich off that salary.
What salary? They make 174,000, and they just started making it less than a decade ago. So how are they? I'm like Elon Musk. How you a multi millionaire if you on the up and up?
Well, I was glad to see Elon did come out and say that they're going to do an investigation into how and why they're getting so rich. Like you said, because remember, when you're in Congress, you're living in D.C. part of the time, so you're paying to live there too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cheap to live in D.C. or the surrounding area, and you got to live at home, right? So why is that a ship worth $27 million when he's living in expensive California, expensive D.C., and he's worth $20 million and he doesn't own a business? He's never
forgot
owned a
his
business.
own. You forgot his other house. Now you remember he got two addresses. One of them is Connecticut.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's right.
where do he actually live?
Yeah, he's balling, and we don't know how, right? We need to figure out how. And I'm glad to see Elon digging into that because that's something that I think really ticks off everybody, not just one side or the other.
And then what about the 2.1 million Social Security numbers that was issued last year alone? They was really wanting, and this is now, I kind of guessed it in 2018. I said, you know what, the Democrats going to get out here and say illegals need to vote in our election. I did not think they was going to jump. First it was repeal and replace the Constitution of the United States. And then now we don't want illegals to vote in the election. To all of a sudden, last year in July, they really started pushing for illegals to vote in not only state election, but federal election also. That's so illegal.
Yeah, New York especially, right? They were really trying to push for that. But I held an event. See, what was it? It was back on June 27th, 2022. I just pulled it up right now as I shared it again the other day due to the Social Security number issue that came out again. I had Javon Pulitzer come to Scottsdale, and he released his paper analysis that the state Senate suppressed and hid away and would not use as part of their report, when they did for the election in 2020. So I had him come, and Liz Harris actually helped me secure the venue to do that. And I had RSBN, I had a bunch of people there. I had a bunch of, Wendy Rogers, Carrie Lake, Hoffman, you name the people that were there. I had a ton of people there to listen in. And he brought up the fact that they're using these Social Security numbers and money is being put into the Treasury based off of them. And how they're how they're cheating with these Social Security numbers. He brought it out. President Trump shared it not too long ago. And then Elon shared it again a few months ago. And then I see this come out with the sheer number of these Social Security numbers that are illegal, that how many were being used to vote with. We should be able to have that data, I would imagine, because those people, I think Big Balls might be able to find that for us.
I'm still trying to figure out where they find Bella and Edward Cullen to be 361 and 360 years old, still getting Social Security benefits. How does that even happen? But you got to think about it. Look at all those people. There was 110 and above in the millions. So that means if they was getting a Social Security number, somebody was voting for them also.
And somebody's getting that money too, right? So we need to find out who that was, who's collecting those checks, who's cashing those checks, and where. Which shouldn't be hard to trace, right? If you cash a check somewhere, and find out, and these people should be thrown in jail.
So maybe Joe Biden did get 80 million votes. when he came. Oh, it was 80. He said 81 to 83 million votes. Maybe he did get them because there were so many people rising from the dead, and I ain't
Yeah,
even see Jesus crack the
definitely.
sky. So
Yeah, definitely got him, but yeah, not legally.
So now, because we got 2 minutes left. See, this don't just go too fast. We might need to start paying Zoom. Y'all get over there and donate. What else are your plans out there in Arizona?
I've been hyper. I'm still involved. I'm still involved. I talk to a lot of people in my LD. I'm in Legislative District 2 here in Arizona. I still talk to my people here. I'm still involved, kind of behind the scenes, talking with others as well. Debating politically, in the future what I may or may not do. But I just been hyper focused on my son. He does a lot of sports. I coach a lot. I'm coaching everything you can dream of, and focusing on business. So I have the company ventures I've been working on for over a year now that are coming to a culmination here, and I just been hyper focused on that right now. I did so much stuff in the past that took away from other things I wanted to do that I had the time to kind of refocus on me a little bit and my son and my family and Bella and my daughter and get back to kind of that daily grind with them.
This is what I can tell when you're out there and you're talking to people behind closed doors. Tell them we have something the Democrats don't have anymore, and that's a grassroots. Don't forget about us. The power brokers, stop forgetting about us and actually remember to come out here and actually talk to us. And that is how people are going to be able to win seats back. There's a lot of disgruntled people in every state and every walk of life in America. And if you, since you're out there consulting and spending time with family, let these people know that grassroots Republicans, we make the party.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I believe I still have, well, I know I do, a lot of pull in that community, in that grassroots community here. The people, they know me for years now. They trust me. They know I don't play games. They know I'm going to be straightforward and honest about things, how things are working, how they should work versus how they do work, right? And how we can maybe find avenues to make things happen. But the problem again, it's elections. And I've been saying this from day one. Until we fix our elections, the way I'm asking, nothing's going to change because because you'll hear this, a politician being a smartass to us. Well, then vote me out if you don't like it. Well, I wish we
No, I
could,
wish
but
we
you know
could.
damn well that can't happen. That's why they say that because they know it can't happen. And like I said, if I can get one logical reason why they don't do what I want and what I'm asking for to ensure that we have free and fair elections for everybody, Democrats included, I don't care who it is, your vote should count for who you voted for, and that's not happening right now for either side.
Well, I
I
think it was
mean,
last
cancel
week.
hearing.
Last week, President Trump did an executive order about the election integrity. That was like
Yeah,
six bullet points. So I hope and pray that Congress come back from vacation. They off for the rest of the week. How you get a
yes.
four? How you get a 2 day work week? Okay, but back to this. They won't be back to next week. How did it even work? I don't know. You're like, forget it. I ain't going to work. No wonder our government is so jacked up. So, Josh, go ahead and tell everybody, plug yourself, tell everybody where they can find you at, where they can follow you, follow your page, and anything that you're doing. And get back with us, Dave. Get back with Stan. I mean, we ain't got no 6:30 person. I mean,
Yeah, you can reach me. I'm primarily on X, so you can get me at Barnett for AZ on X, BARNETTFORAZ. I am on other platforms, but that is one I primarily use because I hate Zuckerberg. So and so I try to deal, and I do share stuff on Instagram and Facebook here and there, but I'm primarily on X. BarnettForAZ.com is the website that I've been using for years now. But reach me out on X. That's where I'm going to be the most on, and as things ramp up into the next election, I will be more and more and more involved and maybe even highly involved at that point. But right now, like I said, I'm just still involved, still pushing for things to happen and just kind of focusing on myself, my family, my money, my business here in Phoenix.
wait a minute. It's about to be summertime. Woo! Get a better
Yeah.
air conditioner too, because I heard it's hot. You can fry eggs on the concrete. I don't never want to be that hot.
And you can do that actually. Yes, it's 115 hits 120 here and there, but I'll take it over a winter back in the Midwest anytime.
Thank you so much, Josh. Everybody else, y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you.
Are you a voting member of the NRA? My name is Lucretia Hughes NRA. I will never compromise my beliefs in God, family, our country, and my Second Amendment. I am running for the board of directors of the NRA, and I would appreciate your vote. Yep, I retweeted that. I sure did one habanero. Why is that still on screen? Hi. Hi. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the Real News with Lucretia Hughes. That was Josh Barnett. And we got Mary coming up at the 6:30. She does a lot for the veterans, and I want him back. Jessica, I'm about like you. It's like we get to start talking to these people, then you got to wind it up, and then we only got like 40 minutes on a Zoom. So, like Mr. Gonzalez, he's on his way, the one that was having problems yesterday. He's on his way to Japan. So when he gets back next week, he's wanting to come back on the show. I want to pick his brain. You don't look. Did I start bouncing? Yes, I did. You don't get to talk to these type of people and not pick their brain. So I'm trying to sit here and see if y'all saying anything and not talking amongst yourself. You have a question, and I'm trying to glance and I'm trying to look at the camera at the same time and be. But yeah, sometimes I'll be like wanting to. So there's many interviews that we've done that I'm like, okay, we got to